I used to love New Year's Eve, the countdowns, the midnight kisses, the feeling that anything was possible. It was my favorite night of the year. But that changed last year. Now, even the sound of a cork popping sends a wave of anxiety through me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you what happened. It's a wild story. It all started a couple of weeks before New Year's. Jessica, my wife, had been acting strange. We'd been married for 8 years, and I thought I knew her better than anyone. She was always cheerful and affectionate, but lately she'd become distant, almost cold. She'd laugh at something on her phone but wouldn't share the joke. She'd stay late at work, and when I asked her about it, she'd snap, "Why are you so paranoid?" It was classic deflection. At first, I thought maybe I was imagining things. But then, one night, I overheard her talking on the phone. She was in the kitchen, whispering, and I was upstairs. The house was so quiet I could barely make out her words, but I heard enough. "Relax," she said. "He doesn't suspect a thing." My stomach dropped. I'd had suspicions before, but hearing her say it so casually felt like someone had knocked the wind out of me. I couldn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, staring at the wall, trying to process how the person I trusted most could betray me like this. The next day, I decided to act like everything was fine. If she thought I didn't know, it would buy me time to figure out who she was talking to and what exactly was going on. That's when I turned into a detective in my own home. First, I checked her phone while she was in the shower. It was locked, of course, but Jessica wasn't exactly a tech expert. I knew her passcode, our anniversary date. Inside, I found the evidence, texts with a guy named M. There were a lot of them, flirty, sometimes downright inappropriate. They confirmed everything I had feared. The messages even included details about where and when they'd been meeting, a hotel downtown. And lucky me, there was another rendezvous planned for New Year's Eve. At that moment, I knew I wasn't going to confront her. No, that would be too easy, too predictable. If she wanted to betray me, she'd get what was coming to her. And I was going to make sure she'd never forget it. New Year's Eve arrived quickly. Jessica told me she was going out with her friends for a girls' night and that I shouldn't wait up. I smiled and told her to have fun, knowing she had no idea I'd already booked the suite next to hers at the hotel. When she left that night, all dolled up in the red dress I'd bought her for our last anniversary, I waited 5 minutes before grabbing my bag and heading out. I checked into the hotel, set up my equipment, a small camera and microphone I'd purchased online, and waited. By 10 p.m., everything was in place. They met in the bar downstairs and then went up to the room together. I watched the camera as they laughed, kissed, and toasted with champagne. It was sickening, but I kept my composure. The plan was just beginning. At 11:45, I knocked on their door. Jessica opened it, her face instantly pale when she saw me standing there. Behind her, M stood shirtless, a glass of champagne in his hand. "Happy New Year," I said, smiling. "Mind if I join you?" Jessica stammered, What are you doing here?" "Oh, I thought it'd be nice to celebrate together," I replied, stepping inside as if I belonged there. "You don't mind, do you?" I added, watching M's face drop as he clearly wished he could vanish into the bed. "I didn't know she was married," he mumbled. "Oh, I'm sure you didn't," I said casually. "But don't worry, I'm not here to make a scene. In fact, I've got a gift for both of you." I pulled an envelope from my bag and handed it to Jessica. Inside were printed screenshots of their messages, photos from their meetups, and a flash drive with the footage I'd recorded that night. Her hands shook as she flipped through the evidence. "You've been busy," she muttered. "You have no idea," I said with a smirk. "But here's the best part." I pulled out my phone and showed her the email I just sent, to her parents, her boss, and a few of our mutual friends. Attached were all the sordid details of her affair. Jessica's face turned crimson. You bastard." "Oh honey," I said, "you haven't seen anything yet." I turned to M. "You'd better hope your wife doesn't check her inbox anytime soon." His eyes widened. "You wouldn't." "I already did," I interrupted, grinning. "Happy New Year." I walked out before they could respond, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Sure, it was petty and vindictive, but damn, it felt good. Betrayal cuts deep, but revenge has a funny way of putting things back in place. As I sat in my car, watching fireworks light up the sky, I thought to myself, new year, new beginnings. Jessica and M would never forget this night. And as for me, I'd finally closed the chapter on a marriage built on lies. Cheers to that. In the days that followed, the fallout was nothing short of dramatic. Jessica tried calling, texting, and even showed up at my office once, but by then, I'd blocked her on every platform. Meanwhile, I got juicy updates from mutual friends. Apparently, Jessica's boss wasn't too pleased with the scandal. She'd been angling for a promotion for months, but once her affair went public, that was off the table. She didn't lose her job, but it might as well have been over. They moved her to a smaller office and piled on the grunt work. Her parents were furious. Her mom called me to apologize, saying she couldn't believe Jessica was capable of something so awful. Hearing that from someone who'd always defended her felt incredibly satisfying. As for M? Well, let's just say his wife didn't take the news well. Word got out that she kicked him out and filed for divorce within a week. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a little smug. Karma, after all, is a beautiful thing. But the best part? Moving on. For years, I'd been wrapped up in Jessica's world, constantly trying to please her. Now, I finally had the space to focus on myself. I started working out, picked up old hobbies, and even adopted a dog. Life felt good again, clean, uncomplicated, and mine. A few months later, a mutual friend called to meet for coffee. She'd heard from Jessica and thought I should know something. Apparently, Jessica had been spiraling since the New Year's disaster. She was seeing a therapist, trying to make amends, but no one, not her parents, not her friends, wanted anything to do with her. Do you feel bad for her? My friend asked, genuinely curious. I thought about it for a moment before shaking my head. Not in the slightest. Betrayal changes a person, but it doesn't have to break you. If anything, it made me stronger. And if Jessica is still out there, trying to piece her life back together, well, good luck to her. As for me, I've got my own fresh start. And for the first time in a long time, I'm genuinely happy.